Hello, 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 and welcome to Lunchtime with Dr. Nadine. Today we have another special guest joining us. Her name is Brontie Radgman. Now, if I did pronounce it like I didn't do it right, she will help us out here. Brontie is a seasoned nutrition expert and passionate. She's a passionate advocate for plant-based wellness. She's originally from Nevis, and she has done a lot of work over 45 years in healthcare. And right now she's getting ready to launch her very first book titled Culinary Legacy, passing down simple, tasty, plant-based recipes for health and wellness. Let's welcome to the stage Brontie. Brontie, we are so excited to have you here with us today.
Good morning, everyone. It's certainly my pleasure to be here with you, Dr. Nadine, on this program.
Yes, we're so happy to have you. We're talking about your last name is Radgman, correct?
Correct. It's Radgman.
Yes. Radgman. I want to make sure I didn't butcher that, because I'm so particular about how people pronounce my name. And so I want to make sure I always do justice and respect to other people's names as well. And so we're so excited to have you here. Now, you are a nutrition expert. You have been in the field of health and wellness for over 45 years. And even before we go on, you already have folks cheering you on, by the way, okay? And so if you're joining us live, drop in the chat. Let us know, where are you joining us from today? Let us know in the chat where you're joining us from. We have Elaine Ross saying, way to go, Brontie, go girl. So you're already being cheered on. So let us know where you're joining us from today. All right. Now, Brontie, we're going to talk about your journey. What a long journey it has been. So let's talk about your journey in coming into the book coaching program, because your book just this week, we submitted your final edited manuscript to the designer to begin layout and design on your book, Culinary Legacy. So we're going to talk to our viewers today a little bit about your journey in the book program, your journey in writing. What was that like for you? Why you actually wrote Culinary Legacy? What does it mean, etc., etc. So let's begin with, what brought you to even that space of wanting to write the book?
Well, Dr. Nadine, for many years, I've always been interested in the culinary arts.
Mm-hmm.
Even growing up as a child, I would always be in the kitchen around my mom, who was an excellent cook, an excellent baker. And I used to practice and try recipes ever since, as long as I can remember. So with that in mind, I decided to journey a little further. I started collecting recipes, and I've had a collection over many years, which was sitting there in folders, in files, and not much being done with it. But as I thought about it over the years, I kept procrastinating and procrastinating. Then I said, it's important that I write these recipes down so that they can be passed on to the younger generation.
Okay.
Because as you know, many of our parents or grandparents or aunties, they prepared a lot of delicious foods, but it was never written down. So in order to maintain the legacy, I thought having a book would be a great way to pass it not only to my family,
yes,
but to generations, because I am passionate about health.
Right.
I'm passionate about nutrition. And I think that it's not only going to be a cookbook, a recipe book, but it's going to be filled with vital health information.
Right.
Because nutrition alone does not necessarily make us healthy.
Right.
We have to obey the other laws of health so that we can have a complete wellness.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm happy you mentioned that, because you have over 45 years of experience in health and wellness, and then all of that is brought down to this one baby that you're about to give birth to, your book Culinary Legacy. I remember us having discussions, about the title of your book. Like, what was your goal? What did you want to do? And I remember, us getting to that place of recognizing that your greatest desire was to pass things on to the next generation. And it reminds me so much of the past, how families would have passed on recipes, lifestyle practices, and a lot of things like even generational curses and generational blessings. There's a lot of things that are being passed on, sometimes formally, sometimes informally, sometimes we're doing it intentionally and other times unintentionally. But you have made a decision that you are going to be intentional about passing on recipes that are not only going to influence the way individuals cook, but also influence their lifestyle, because a lot of what we experience, sometimes we think we just put it in our mouths, but it has an effect on our lifestyle as well. And so what was it like for you working on that book? Because we've been on that journey for a while, I think a lot longer than we anticipated. What was it like for you, going through the process of putting those recipes together, but more than that, the writing process, like getting everything formalized? What was that like for you?
Well, writing the recipes, as I mentioned earlier, I had many recipes. I'd done numerous cooking classes, both at church and in my workplace. But many of the recipes, or most of the recipes, were not as healthy as they should have been.
Okay.
With current trends in nutrition and health, I thought that I would have to make these recipes more healthy. So a lot of my time was spent in actually reformulating these recipes, changing the items that were not plant-based into plant-based items. So that actually took quite a bit of my time testing each recipe, ensuring that the quality and the taste was acceptable. So a lot of my time was spent making changes, testing, trying, getting other people to taste and ensure that the quality and the taste was what I expected and what they expected. Because even though we are trying to share healthy recipes, we want to make sure that they are also tasty, and nutritious,
yes,
present well,
as
people eat with their eyes. So
yes,
this is my goal and my intention, to
yes,
bring something to the market that is both tasty, enjoyable, and healthy.
Yeah, and I mean, I could attest, because for years I've been ordering plant-based / vegan cakes from you without sugar, and of course without eggs and all of the dairy stuff. And I know that at times we've even explored things you never did before. And so I can attest to the tastiness of your stuff. And so we're on this journey. You're trying to now redo recipes to make sure they're healthy, redo them because make sure they're tasty. So what were some of the challenges that you had as you worked on that book? Because I know, some folks might be joining us right now. Many of them are inspired by you. And there may be others who need to write a book. It may not be a cookbook. It could be they need to work on another book. But, they're afraid in advance of the challenges. Because I'm certain when we started, we thought we were going to be done in 6 months. But that didn't happen because there were glitches along the way. There were challenges, there were hindrances. What was that journey like for you? Because we want to be real with individuals so that, when they get into different programs, or when they start a journey, or when they begin to take steps of faith, that a lot of times we're thinking it's just going to be a walk in the park. Because I'm answering the call that God has called me, that God has on my life. I'm focusing on my purpose, and that means everything's going to be okay. But I can testify that that's not the case for me. So I want to know, what was it like for you, like going through that process? You undertaking something that you've never done before, that many individuals are terrified of. What was the real life experience for you?
The real experience was I entered this project. First, I thought about it. I prayed about it because I know that God gives us wisdom. So I asked for wisdom as I approached this project. I had seen previously where you, Dr. Nadine, was coaching persons who are interested in writing books. I got an email, I think it was. I looked at it, and after giving it much thought and consideration, I decided to give you a call. I didn't follow up on it right away. I kept praying about it, and once I felt comfortable, I said, it's time for me to begin this journey. So I began the journey. First, I didn't know what the title was going to be. I had put several titles in my head. And as I shared them with you and you asked what were my goals, who I wanted to share it with. And after going to several question and answer periods, I told you I wanted something that will be passed on. And you said, how about culinary legacy? That was not in my mind as to what title I wanted, but then I saw it fitted in perfectly with what I had in mind. So once I started digging into my recipes, and I said, this is a big job. We thought the project would have finished much earlier, but it took me time to test the recipes, try the recipes. Then I had to get a photographer who was taking the photographs, which meant I had to do the research on a photographer.
Oh, yeah.
And for those of you who may not be very technologically savvy, many of the things I couldn't do them by myself. I had to ask for help. I had to reach out and get someone to assist me with the typing. And fortunately, I was blessed to have some of my neighbors who are the largest savvy. And they would come and assist me, or I'd make a call to this person or to another person who helped me so very much along the journey. Just doing it on my own, it was almost an impossible task.
Right.
So there was quite a bit of a lapse in time in getting the services and getting them when you need it, because everyone has very busy schedules. But I'm actually very grateful for each person who assisted me along the way in areas where I couldn't do it by myself. So once the recipes were compiled and the photographs were taken, we had made quite a significant step. And then it had to go to the editors. And this is something that we did fairly recently. I must say the editing process was done quickly. And I had a second edit and was able to fine tune. So I think it was just 2 days ago, the project went to those person who's going to do the layout and design. We had to get the photographs, make sure that they looked good and that they were representative of the foods that we use. And so selecting the right photographer who is willing to work along with you. The photographer actually came to the home, took the photographs. He had an assistant, and it became actually a fun project because he was a lovely young man, and we were able to share much. So, and I must say, during especially the first stages of the project, Dr. Nadine, she met with me every week. We would meet at 3:00 on a Wednesday afternoon, and we would talk and we would share, and she would move me on to the next level, always encouraging me, giving me homework, ensuring that it was done, and walked me through the process until where I am.
So There are a few things. One of them for sure, because you took so much time to test, we have a guarantee that the recipes are going to be very tasty because you didn't just splash them in there, you tested all of them.
Yes, I did.
Now, about the journey of, because sometimes, it's easy for folks to see the end product, but the process sometimes it could be very challenging. So now remember, we're going through week by week looking for, okay, and folks sometimes might even lose sight and think that photography is just photography, but what we learn in the process is that food photography is different to, for example, branding photography or wedding photography. And so you did have a photo shoot with my photographer here in Georgia, in Atlanta, and that was for your branding photos. But now you needed photos for your food, which is a different type of photography that's needed. And now to have that person come take photos on the days that you are ready to prepare. So I know that you made a lot of adjustments, a lot of changes in your life. How did that affect you? What was the growth process for you, having to do all of these things that were so outside of yourself, outside of your comfort zone and all of that stuff?
I must say that I am thankful to have a supportive family. My husband, he was there along with me. My sister, who lives not too far away from me, and even some of the neighborhood friends would come and assist me during the photo shoot to ensure that, some of the little things were done.
Yes.
Through the process, I must say, jiggling, writing a book, being involved with your church ministries, and trying to ensure that your home life is also intact with all of your other responsibilities. Sometimes it did get a little frustrating, but through it all, I would always say, God, this is your project. It's not mine. Please, guide. Please give me the wisdom to do it. And encouragement from friends and family kept me going. I would throw ideas, and they would throw ideas to me, and I figured if I did not do it now, it was not get done. So through the process, through the challenging days, through the fun days, just persevered and asked God for the strength to continue to do the best job that I could.
So you had all kinds of days, fun days, down days, maybe days you want to give up. Because I know sometimes we undertake anything at all. It could be an assignment as such as writing a book. It could be maybe, anything at all that we feel called or led to do, as you felt that this was the time where you needed to get this book out. You needed to pass it on. And I remember us coming up with the cover concepts. And, I remember saying you all of these different graphics about, grandmothers and little kids, because that's the vision that I had when I thought culinary legacy. I'm thinking of, grandma, teaching a child how to, prepare this meal. And so we're going through all of that stuff. But usually, a lot of times we undertake these projects and so on. And of course, like I mentioned earlier, are not looking for the challenges that may actually come, but they do come. And sometimes we want to give up. You didn't give up. I know it went way slower than we wanted because it took so many weeks upon weeks upon weeks to coordinate photographers. And you tried one photographer for food and another photographer. And it's like, okay, we need to see, okay, is this okay? You had to learn a lot about plate setting. So a lot of skills as you were working on your project, you were developing skills at the same time, things that you had never done before. I remember one time going on Facebook and looking for, groups that does like food settings to send to you so that you can get your inspiration and links. And so a lot of times when we undertake a project, it may not necessarily mean that we have everything within ourselves to get it done. But as you've mentioned, your husband, your sister, your support system in your neighbors, your church, and so on makes a difference. And I think that speaks volumes to sometimes maybe a lot of us do not take the steps we should take in life because sometimes we don't even know that the support system works. Because without you getting in the project, we wouldn't even know that the support system could work. But the fact that you actually went in, now you needed it because initially we'd meet every week for an hour. We'd go through all of the different aspects of the book, but there came a point where there was no point in meeting every week anymore because now all that needs to be done is finalizing the thing, the recipes, and I'd be like, okay, is it finalized yet? And the follow-ups and the follow-ups and the follow-ups. But then there was the delay with, okay, I need somebody who's qualified to do the food photography, because initially you had tried it yourself. And I remember one of my previous clients working on a recipe book told me that she had to hire a food photographer. So thank God for her experience. I was able to say, well, you know what, taking because you did some nice photos on your phone, but we wanted to make sure that we had a high quality photos, and that brought us on a journey of, oh my goodness, where am I going to find such a qualified person? And I know that was a challenge. But the thing about you is that you know, there's this saying, slow and steady wins the race.
Yes.
That's what you remind me of. Your story, your experience reminds me of the slow and steady, because it's like you pushed forward slowly but surely, and now you've come to almost to the conclusion of your project. We're just waiting to see what that final layout and design would look like. Oh, how does it feel for you to be at this stage of your project?
It's really exciting. And I think one of the things that has motivated me is that every once in a while, a friend or family member would call and say, how is the book coming? How is the book? Up to this morning, my very dear friend called and said, how is the book coming? And that motivated me to keep going. And I must also add that one of the motivating factors in me writing this book was that in 2022, we lost a very dear friend who had a lot of experience in culinary and vegetarian cooking and plant-based cooking.
Yes.
She got sick and she passed away. And I know she wanted to write a cookbook. She wanted her legacy to pass on, but it didn't happen. So I thought we experienced as a church, as a family, a great loss. So I used that as a motivating factor for me to write this book, even as an honor of her, just to write this book. So they are some of the factors that really kept me going. And now it's at the designers. I'm excited because they keep calling me and asking me, when is it going to be ready? When is it going to be ready? So I'm happy to tell them the point where we are at right now.
Yes. And I'm happy kind of that you mentioned her, because she was such an amazing cook. I mean, her food was like delicious. And I do remember from early on, you did mention, because she was so great and she never got to pass on, her recipes. I'm sure she has recipe books that her family could, benefit from, but it's not out there where other folks could really benefit from it. Now, you're almost at the end of the project. Folks are calling. The good thing is you do have a web page that individuals can go on to pre-order. So for everyone who's excited about that book, they could actually go to your web page. I'm going to kind of like show that there. They could go to your web page and able to see let me put your website on here if that's okay. So it's right here. You could actually go pre-order your book right now. Now, I just want to let you know, Brontie, you're being cheered on. Let me just give some shout outs there for you. It's amazing. Let's do this. We have Isabel. She's joining from Moncton, I think it is. We have Montoya, who will be on tomorrow. She's here cheering you on from San Antonio. We have Juanita. She's saying, congratulations, Auntie Brontie. I'm going to actually show you some of them so you can see. And I don't know if you know Isabel here. Montoya is saying hello. We also have Juanita joining us from Massachusetts. My friend Anne-Marie joining us from Canada. She's here. You have another congratulatory message there from Sister Elena. You can see it here. We have Elaine Ross joining us from Maryland. We have Eva. Congrats, Brontie. So excited for you. We have Josette. Josette, we're happy to have you here with us. Josette joining us from St. Vincent. Listen, you have so many greetings here, all the way from Nevis as well. Look, Auntie, proud of you, Auntie. Love and blessings. You have support all over the place. Eva is saying, so happy for my beautiful neighbor. So listen, you have support. USVI is in the house. Brontie, again, so proud of you. Look, total access. Oh, this is my friend here watching from Palm Bay. Nice to have you, Dr. Sydney. Nice to have you in the house. He's also from St. Vincent. Congratulations again. You have more. You have so many congratulatory messages. And I really honestly look forward to your book getting in the hands of individuals. They're excited about it already. And so we really want to ensure that this book gets into the hands of individuals because they want your books. I'm going to leave your website on the screen. Now, Brontie, I know that we also want, if folks want you to maybe, I don't know, do you travel to do plant-based classes? Would you be doing that? What does that look like for you? When you launch your book, what's next?
It's my hope and prayer that I will be able to share this information with persons, even it means having to go to their site, because I think it's so very important that people not only read about plant-based nutrition, that they actually sample items that are plant-based. And starting with my church family and my family. And wherever the Lord leads me, it's my wish and my desire and hope to respond to the call.
Yes. Okay. So we have your email. I put it at the bottom here. Your email address, veggiehuts@aol.com. Now I put that there because in case you want to reach Brontie, and I like what Dr. Sydney is saying. He's saying this resource is needed in helping persons using whole food, plant-based to live a healthier life. And so I honestly am excited about seeing the end product. I'm looking forward to having your book in my hand because I believe, as you mentioned earlier, this is not just about food, because so many people are now saying they're plant-based. And you know, strange, I don't want to hit on anybody, but the thing about it is that, you know, this late like trend of, oh, I'm plant-based, so I'm vegan, seem to have more to do with food than lifestyle. When we know that this whole vegan or plant-based approach is about a lifestyle that we've been living for a long time. Some of us for decades, for me over 2 decades, for you it might be even longer, and for so many of us who have already been on that journey. And now there is this trend about the food, and we could see that there's so much unhealthy, quote unquote, plant-based food. You eat it and you know it's not the healthiest, because now everything is about the just, and I love good tasty food. I mean, I'm plant-based, but I love taste. But what is happening now is this trend has put people in a place where we're just wanting to mimic everything and make everything taste so good, but we're not concerned really about the lifestyle and the impact it has on our health. And I believe that your book, because of your background, 45 years in the health and wellness industry, because of your lifestyle of living a plant-based diet kind of lifestyle for the past few decades, it's going to be a different type of book. And I think that's what's necessary, that we have something that does not only address our taste buds, but it also affects the way that we live our life. And we're not just doing it because we're following a fad or a trend. It's a lifestyle that we've been doing, and we want to make sure we have a, you know, a healthier experience. And so I really look forward to that book. Now, Brontie, what would you like to say to anyone listening, you know, who needs to get on the road to get something done that God is calling them to do? Again, we have her website here. You could go pre-order her book. I believe the website is ready for pre-orders. I'm hoping that it is, because now this is out here. Folks can go and pre-order. And then her email is veggiehuts@aol.com. You can reach her there in case you need to fly her in to your location so she can teach you how to use the recipes in her book. What would you like to say to anybody listening right now?
I would just like to say, number one, that the website just needs a little tweaking before you're ready, before you order.
Okay.
I would also like to add that the information in this book is Bible-based as well as scientifically based. And I would say that Dr. Nadine has been a role model in terms of her writing her books. I've had copies of her Wow series prayer book, and it's been an inspiration in my life. And she has guided me through the process. And in spite of the little hurdles we've had along the way with weights and things, I am off to finish in with, as God would have it done, well.
Amen.
And I just want to say thank you for having me at this lunchtime series. It's been my honor. And I just want to say thanks to my family and my friends who came on to support.
Yes.
Thank you so very much.
Amen. I'm so excited to have had you as a guest. I'm also excited that your friends and family from all over were here to support you through this process. And even in the process of writing your book, you also had tremendous support. And that really tells, I mean, that's inspiring for some. And I pray and I hope that someone who was watching today don't feel that because you may not have the support Brontie had, that means that maybe you cannot undertake something that God is calling you to do. Because once you start on that journey, the Lord will provide all that you need. All that you need, whatever that all is, in order for you to finish off what He wants you to do. And so do not let that be a hindrance. Brontie needed what she needed, and the Lord provided it because He knows the importance of that culinary legacy that she needs to pass on. And so for each woman listening on today, and for everyone who joined to support Brontie, we want to say thank you, Brontie. We want to thank you for coming on, for just having this casual conversation, for sharing with us about your book. We would love to know whatever, when the tweaks are made, because I believe that folks are ready for your book. And this is the time to have it out there because people are ready for all that you have to offer in that book. And so thank you once again, everyone, for joining us. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow when we have our final guest, Montoya Moore, who will be joining us from Texas. And so thank you once again for joining us. And Brontie, thank you again for sharing. God bless you guys.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you so very much for having me.